Hi, guys. Welcome to the Leadership Development Call. I am spotlighting Wendee here. Super excited because Wendee was definitely one of the first women in business that I felt was a good mentor of mine. You know, she came from real estate, and I won't steal her thunder. I'll let her tell her background and everything, but she's grown a massive team at ACN, which is kind of like a multi-level marketing organization where they all are self-employed, independent business owners. So I feel like she's going to bring a lot of value for all of you that are looking to, become a leader, grow a team, and just lead people that are self-employed. So thank you so much, Wendee, for hopping on. Really, really appreciate it. And if you could just introduce yourself, tell a little bit about your background, and we can get started.
Awesome. Thank you, Mikala. First and foremost, how long has it been? It's been a while, right? Since I met you.
Yeah.
I mean, 6-7 years. Is that right? Would that be right?
Definitely.
Yeah. And to just watch you, what you've built and the growth that you've had, right? Because it's been a long time. And so I'm just so proud of you, so inspired by you, and so honored to be on this call today. So thank you so much. And excited to meet everyone. So I live in Scottsdale, Arizona. I have been self-employed now for 13 years, and my background was real estate. And even though real estate, one might say you're self-employed, I never felt like I was self-employed. I felt like I was just, I don't know, it just wasn't that. So yeah. I saw ACN through a client of mine 13 years ago. And I was so excited. I was just excited for the same reason you guys are probably excited about your businesses, just freedom, residual income. If you're going to work your face off for something that keeps paying you.
Exactly.
Real estate wasn't doing that. And so it's been an incredible journey, just being able to grow, as a businesswoman, and then to create organizations, to become a leader. It's just been the greatest ride, and I'm so excited about it and grateful for it. So I'm excited to talk to you guys because I remember being in the trenches and growing and not necessarily seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, but knowing that everyone kept saying, it's there. I'm like, okay, well, I don't see it, but I gotta keep going. So that's my background. And
well, thank you so much. And so how many people do you have in your hierarchy now?
Oh my gosh. We have a lot.
I know you do. That's why I want them to kind of understand that the amount of people that you're leading, and it's huge. I know that.
Yeah. We have tens and tens of thousands of people in our organization.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's great. All over the world.
Yeah, really cool. I love that it started becoming international. It's so cool you guys could go all over the country and recruit and help people, create that passive income. So it's really, really impactful. Yeah. But one of the things, Wendee, that I wanted you to discuss that I always was inspired by for you was the mindset. They're being self-employed. There's going to be so many ups and downs, and there's so many times where you just feel like you can't do it or you want to give up. And it's what kind of helped you get that right mindset to know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel and soon you'll get there?
Well, first and foremost, what I know today is that the reason people either have, the difference between people having massive success in anything and people not having massive success is their mindset, right? So I really am clear that is the number one thing to have success in anything. I also think that it's, faith and fear come from the same place, right? It's all based on something that you can't see. And so I think you have to have faith, but you can also, I don't want to say manufacture faith, but you can do things. And I did things, and I'll share with you, that really solidify your faith. So, beyond the shadow of a doubt that you will get to where you want to go. So you've got to have the mindset. You've got to get that crystal clear that that you can do it. And then you have to really be responsible for who you need to become to get there. Because people think that a goal is a thing. I want to make $10,000 a month. Well, that's not your goal. That's what you want, but that is not a goal, right?
Right.
My goal is to have a luxury automobile. No, that's not your goal. That's what you want. So
Right.
goals are more about who you have to become,
I love that.
right? Who you have to become. And so if if you're someone who you want to make $1 million a year, but you've only ever made $80,000 a year, the factual thing would be that you can make $1 million a year because there's someone with your same situation, circumstances, background that has made $1 million a year. But why haven't you made $1 million a year?
Right.
It's because of your mindset, the growth that you need to have, and then the perseverance, not giving up, not giving up. If you've all read 3 Feet from Gold, most people give up right before they were about to hit that point of explosion. So something that what's that?
I haven't read that. That's a good one. 3 Feet from Gold.
Oh yeah. It's a story out of Think and Grow Rich, which is another book you should read.
Yes, I have read that one.
Once a quarter for the rest of your life. Yeah, only read that. You don't need to read anything else. But it's a story inside of that. But there is a book that really expands on that story, and it's really great. But basically, the premise is, and if you've read Think and Grow Rich, you already know the story I'm going to talk about. But there was a guy, and he was searching for gold, and he couldn't find it, and he's digging, and he's digging, and he's digging, and he gave up. He's like, screw it, I can't find it. And another guy came along and said, hey, well, what are you going to do with all this equipment, all these tools? And he's like, I don't know, you can have it. He's like frustrated. So this other guy picks up all the tools and he keeps digging. And it was literally 3 feet into the mountain where there's gold that completely changed their life. And I think it's a true story. Don't quote me on that. I think it's a true story, which is pretty cool. So a couple of things that I did. So when I got started in my business, and I've always been the type of person, and even when I got started in real estate, if someone else can do it, I can do it. So I've always had that in me. And so you have to really get that in you, right? And if that's not in you, it's not in you because you're looking for a way out, because if someone else can do it, you can do it. But if you're saying, well, I don't know, that's on you, because you're keeping a door open so you can, scoot out the back. So I always had that. If someone else can do it, I can do it. What are they doing? What are they saying? How are they doing it? How are they dressing? How are they showing up? Right? So, and no one could tell me that I couldn't. So the outside noise went away. When I started real estate, oh, you can't get into real estate. You can't make, at that time, 6 figures, right? That was the goal. You can't do that. And I was like, why not? I don't understand that conversation. Why not? So I just shut out all those people. And then as you're building your business, I had a moment in time in my business where I could not get over the hump. And if you guys know what I'm talking about, you're right there and you're trying to get to the next level, right? You're just like, what is going on? And so I revisited the book, Think and Grow Rich. I bought the workbook and I just really sat down and did some internal work of, okay, what is going on here? Like, I know it's all me. It's no one else. We'd like to blame everybody else around us, but I'm like, no, this is Wendee. This is Wendee that's up against a wall here. Why can't I get over it? And so I created something that I call impact statements. And I took out my journal and I started writing down, as if it had already happened, that the first story I wrote down was me not making it and me giving up. But what I did that I figured out later created an incredible hunger inside of me is I didn't just do it how it impacted me. I wrote it on how it impacted the people around me. My family, my kids, my team, people that I didn't even know that were watching me, right? Some of you guys are up and coming leaders and people are watching you and you don't even know they're watching you, right? But they're like, oh my God, I'm waiting if he does it, I'm going to do it. If he does it. So I wrote this impact statement and I wrote it even down to my son being at the grocery store, running into his negative aunt and his negative aunt saying, oh, how's your mom's thing? Whatever. And my son saying, oh, shouldn't do that anymore. And just feeling the feeling of disappointment that my son would feel. And I just wrote it down, you guys, and I was sick to my stomach. I think I actually was crying. Like I was just like, oh my God, that's awful. Then I wrote an impact statement, the same thing, but when I did do it. And I wrote it like it already happened. And I wrote it how people were feeling. I wrote it what my kids would be saying when I wasn't even in the room, how proud they would be, my team that was now going to cross the finish line because I actually did that. I wrote down how it would feel. In our business, we have these big elaborate promotions and you bring your family, and I spoke on stage in front of 15,000 people. Like, it was amazing. I wrote all that down, and then I focused on that. I literally focused on that, and it kept me, I looked at it every day. The second I felt disempowered, rejected, scared, whatever, I would read it and be like, you know what? F off, let's go. Like, I would just, I'd freak out. And then the other thing I created was a massive action plan. Because if you don't put yourself in a crazy massive action, self-doubt, worry, fear, all that stuff will get in your head. It just will. And so, but when you're in massive action, that stuff can't live anymore. There's no room for it. And so I put together this crazy plan, you guys. Like, it was like I don't know, it was less than a month. My target was less than a month away. Now, my husband is a huge player in the network marketing space, like massive, known all over the world. And he would say to me, I don't think you're going to be able to do that. No one's ever been able to do that. And I was like, shh, stop talking to me. I'm literally like, you're going to have to move out of the house. Like, dude, do not talk to me. I am doing it. So I was just so clear, and I had created my plan around any obstacle that was come, anything that was going to happen. I was prepared, right? Prepare before it happens, right? I knew, oh my God, if my daughter calls me and she wants to go somewhere, my worst habit was I'd can everything else and go with her. So I'd already planned, like, nope, when Caitlin calls me, I'm going to tell her, sorry, honey, I can't go this week. Got to go. Bye. Like, I planned all these things, and I got into massive action. And you know what, you guys? I did it. I did something that had never been done. I blew people's minds. I blew my own mind. But when I created this plan, I did it from a place of, okay, I have the hunger because I'm real clear on what happens if I do and if I don't. Number two, I don't want this to drag on anymore, right? You can do things for a season, but how long that season lasts is up to you, right? I'm like, okay, my season is really dragging out here. I'm over it. So I condensed timeframes, and then I put together a very, a plan. It's kind of like if someone says, well, I can't lose weight, I have a thyroid, whatever. I'm like, listen, I promise you cut out 1,000 calories a week, you're going to lose weight. I don't care what your issues are. Scientifically, it is impossible that you will not lose weight. Well, I created a plan it was impossible that I wouldn't get it done if I did this every day, all that stuff. And because I created that plan, and it was so intense, and it was literally, I was 7 a.m. till 10 p.m. every day for almost a month. And I did it. And what's really crazy is that impact statement that I wrote, and it makes me cry when I think about it. It actually happened. Like, my kids were calling their friends. They're crying. My kids were crying. I was like, holy crap. I took my mom with me. It was the last trip we ever had together. We went to this promotion. Like, everything that I wrote down happened. And inside of those impact statements, what's so important is write down how you'll feel, right? Like, what I gained is a new level of confidence. I gained a new level of myself, of what I am capable of doing, And so that is absolutely huge. And I tell everybody, no matter what they're doing, to create that for yourself, because you have to, people that are successful are hungry. They're driven, right? Like, we've seen them in different walks of life where they'll go through a brick wall to get what they want. Well, what caused that drive? It's usually not just themselves, but it's also outside of themselves. Absolutely. And listen, I wanted to prove to my negative sister, like, you know what? You will never run into my kid at the grocery store and hear him say his mother quit. Like, that's not going to happen.
I love that. That's definitely so impactful. And thank you so much for sharing that. That's something that I feel like we all go through, where I like what you said, you wrote down, like, if you didn't do it, how that would make you feel, and how, like, maybe your kids would feel, or the people that were looking up to you, inspired by you, would feel. And then it's like feeling that negativity or that fear, but then choosing not to let that overcome you, and choosing, okay, what if I do it? It's like what they always say, like instead of saying can't, say can. It's like, of course, we all know that if we say can't, it's obviously not going to happen. But if we say we can, and we consistently say we can get to that point that we're aspiring to be. So thank you so much for sharing that. One of the other things that I was wanting you to kind of go over, because I was looking at one of your highlights on your Instagram, was like these success tips. And one of the things you mentioned was, how a lot of times we hear like, oh, prioritize things, like, okay, prioritize your faith, then your family, then your business. And you put down, don't prioritize these things. One will get less attention, make them all equally important. Priorities and structure, and you must make everything equally important. When everything's important, you figure out how to get it all done. I thought that was really huge, because that's a completely different perspective. Like, we've always been told, like, you have to figure out how to pre-balance and all these different things. And it's like, well, you can have it all, but yeah, you do have to really kind of figure out your time management for each. So I'd love for you to kind of elaborate on that, and like how that's really, made you get to the success that you're achieving.
Yeah, well, I will preface that none of these grand ideas that I have are original for me, right? They've come from the books that I've read, the events that I've gone to, and being around mentors. So, I like to say that I created all this, but I didn't. So that's first and foremost. And I learned that I had an incredible mentor. I still have that incredible mentor that had this conversation with me, as a woman building a business, and as a guy too. But, for me, I was juggling so many things, and my kids, and, and I'm also doing real estate. Like, a lot of times when you're creating something new, you're still doing the thing that puts the food on the table, right? So now I've got all these things. Now I'm less with my kids and less with working out, blah, blah, blah. And there's that whole conversation with balance. And, if you look at science, right, what is when you have a scale, and two sides of a scale, is that scale balanced when it's like this, or is it balanced when it's like this? It's balanced when it's on an even plane, right? So the very nature of the conversation of, God first, family, business, health, or whatever, well, something is above something else, and something is beneath something else. That's not balanced. So what if it's all on the same plane? Right? Because it's all important, is it not? Your family is important. Your business is important, right? Your health is important, and your spirituality is important. Like, one affects the other, right? So it's all important. So what there is to do is say, okay, it's all important. So when I was building this, I was like, you know what? It's important for me to go do meetings at night. It's important for me to miss my son's basketball game because I've got, meetings to do, or it's important for me to find time to work out. Like, all those things were important. So what I did is it was like a paradigm shift. Okay, if it's all important, then you just get it all done. You figure it out. And so what happened is, I would, my son played basketball on Saturday mornings, and we had events on Saturdays at that time. So what I would do is I would go to part of his basketball game, and then I'd leave early and go to my meeting, versus do one or the other. I did them both, right? And he was like, oh, that's great, Mom, who cares? And he didn't care anyway. You think they care? He didn't care. But I cared, and then I was able to go do my business. So I just started coming from a place of, it's all important. It's all important. And it really is true, that, because if you don't do one, they're so important. So I firmly believe that you can't put one on top of the other. And obviously there's different days, there's different things going on, right? And you have the luxury of doing what you want, scheduling it how you want. But sometimes I think when we have that balance conversation, again, it leads to another option or another excuse or reason why we can't. See, when you're building a business, we are going to avoid pain and always go to pleasure. And when you're building a business, you're dealing with rejection, growth, you're learning. I'm sure your business is like ours. We have scripts, we have to make phone calls, all that stuff. So isn't it natural that you would avoid that? Oh, well, my son has a basketball game, so I'm not going to make calls today because, my family's more important than my business. Like, you just gave yourself a license to not step into the fear. But if you tell yourself, I got to do both, then you do it. right? And the way we overcome fear is by getting into action, and action gives us confidence. And then, I mean, I remember starting my business. Oh my God, I was afraid of getting customers. I wasn't afraid of recruiting. For some reason, I was really afraid of getting my own customers. And I lost a lot of money because I didn't get that done in a timely manner. And then one day I just realized, like, oh my God, what am I doing? And when I started going down that road to get customers, it was so easy that I thought, wow, I've lost all this money because I had some crazy notion in my head that I was afraid for dumb reasons. People are going to tell you no. Of course they're going to tell you no.
Right.
No kidding.
I remember you always told me that, because that book, feel the fear and do it anyway. And you always told me that. And I was like, yeah, that's so true. Like, it's okay we all are fearful. Like, it's like someone that's done, expert at parachuting, they're still going to have this weird feeling of fear when they jump out of that plane, like, even though they've done it time and time again. So it's like, it's okay to feel that fear. It's just like, you got to do it anyway.
Yeah. And the good news is that fear, we're not going to go splat on the ground, right? Like, you'll never catch me jumping out of an airplane. Someone will say, conquer your fear. I'm like, no, I'm going to die old and rich, not because I jumped out of a freaking airplane voluntarily. Nope, not happening over here. However, fear of making phone calls is just, it's ego based, right? It's just, It's natural and it's normal. And you can't build something like this without it. You can go back and have a job and do a 9-to-5, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to build something great and then you have to do those things. Absolutely.
And then the next thing you had mentioned on the success tips was ask for help. This is something that I feel like a lot of, like, myself, Gage, all of our team, like, everyone always struggles being a grown adult and asking another grown adult for help. And you feel like, oh, I'm less than or I'm inferior because I'm asking someone for help. Mm-hmm. But I think that's so important. And like, Gage is a testament to that. He started not doing very well 6 months in, felt like he was applying for new jobs, going back to a 9-to-5. And then he finally just started saying, you know what? I'm going to call someone every time I don't succeed at, I get an objection, I don't overcome it. I try to recruit someone, they tell me no. I'm going to call someone and ask, like, what they would have done. And then now he is massively successful just due to that one change. So how did that kind of affect you, and who is the person that you would kind of ask for help, and how did you overcome like that fear of doing it?
Yeah. I think there's two kinds of help that you need when you're building a business, right? There's the help when it comes to your skills, right? Anybody successful, like in your business, the most successful people aren't better than everybody else. They've got the basics down so pat, right? And they are in action that they're having success, but they're not superhuman superstars, right? So I think that you have to, what do they say? That like a master understands they're not really a master, because you can never master anything, right? Because there's always room to grow. There's always room to grow. So if you're not where you want to be, you just have to really say, you have to look at yourself and say, okay, it's me. What do I need to tweak? What do I need to change? And kind of set your ego aside. It's hard, especially if you're building a team and you're becoming the leader, and sometimes we like to believe our own press but realizing, wait, I might be a leader, but I'm not here yet. And in our household, because my husband is so huge in network marketing and I have built my own team, right? And when I met him, he was already doing crazy things in our business. And it was hard at first for me to ask him for help. Yeah. Right. Because it was like that close relationship. But then I realized, it hit me one day. We were at the house and, we don't always talk business. We're doing our thing. Right. And we were at our house and he's on a call and I'm just traipsing through and he's doing a 3-way call with somebody. And it just hit me like, Wendee, you're an idiot. Why are you not standing there listening to every word he says and how he says it? I'm just like running around doing my stuff thinking, wait a minute, I have gold in my hands. I have gold to be able to have access. So for all of you, you have access to a Mikala who's had success. So you just really have to think. And again, if you're hungry enough, you'll seek that help. You'll just ask, get better, right? Think about all the athletes out there, right? They have a coach. They have a coach. Why am I not making this shot? What am I doing? Okay. And they change, and you're right. They never say, oh, I don't need any help. I'm the best. No, they want to get better. Right. And then the other help that you have to enlist, and this is more, if you have a family or you have lots of responsibilities going on. Now, if you're a free bird, I would work your face off right now, because right, you don't have anybody waiting for you or kids you have to take care of. But if you do have family, then, I enlisted help. Like, I realized, you know what, I'm trying to do it all. And I think a lot of times as A-type personalities, we want to do it all, either because no one else can do it as good as we can, right? Or because we just have this thing like, I'm going to do it all. And that's kind of crazy. So you have to look at your life and think, where can I get help on things that aren't really keeping me in the game? Because again, it's an excuse, right? If I had the excuse of, well, I have to go grocery shopping, and I have to do this, and I have to do that. Really, it was an excuse, because no, you don't have to go grocery shopping. You could have someone else do that. Nowadays, you can have it delivered, or whatever the thing is. For me, it was my family, because I had to keep the house going. So I just found people to help me, right? I bit the bullet and made sure that I had a housekeeper coming in, so if you can't afford it, you're like, well, I can't afford not to. I got to figure it out. So whatever those little things are that you can, in yourself, what's holding you back, that's maybe busy work or things that you're doing that you could have someone help you with.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate you saying that, because that's actually something that I personally struggle with, is like, oh, I want to be the one that cooks dinner, and I want to be the one that cleans. And it's like, okay, well, those hours I'm spending doing that, I could be, helping a family and making way more money than I would have cleaning or cooking, it's like, so those things.
And remember the season, right? We get it in our head that this is going to last forever. That was me. My mentality was, oh, it's going to be forever. And it's like, no, this will be as long as you make it. Right? So it's like it's a small window of time that you've got to plant the seeds, and then you'll get the harvest. But you have to, if you can just laser focus for a real small window, then that harvest will come, and then you're cooking dinner at night, and you're doing this and you're doing that, because you've created the ability to do that. But in that small window, you just got to let it go for a minute.
Yeah, no, that's huge. Another thing that I feel like could bring a lot of value to our team is like, you're obviously working with hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, however many there is, of people that are personally self-employed. And I feel like that's something that us as leaders, it's kind of hard to figure out who are the right people to be self-employed, and how to manage your time and invest in the right people, and like what qualities you're looking for to maybe like laser in on, oh, this person's the one that I'm going to put my focus on. So what are certain qualities that you'd see that is someone that you're like, okay, they're the one I'm going to help?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you guys, I learned this the hard way. Right? Especially as a woman, we want to nurture, we want to help everybody, and, which we do, which is great. But boy, did I learn this the hard way. So a couple things. One, the biggest distraction is your existing team. So that's one. They're already in. That's one. Two, the squeaky wheel should not always get the grease. Right? So we tend to sometimes overlook someone because they're not in our face all the time, they're complaining or they're needy. So you have to be so intentional about looking for the signs in people. Is this person calling me and complaining all the time? Or are they calling me coaching? I want to get better. I want to do this. I want to do that. Is there a person on your team that's out there on their own trying to produce that you're not paying attention to, that maybe will quit soon because you kind of forgot about them, but they're just trying to do their thing and be independent. So you've just got to be real intentional about thinking about, who am I talking to? Who am I spending time with? And I'll do little tests with people, because I do have a big organization, and I've learned a long time ago that people come in and they're a big talker and they do nothing. Right. They do absolutely nothing. Right. Or they're your biggest pain in the butt. So, give them tests, right? See if they show up, right? Give them a book to read and say, hey, small book. There's all sorts of great little books, and I could give you guys lists of cool books that you could give people. Say, hey, here's a great book for you. It's going to help you out, build your business. I'm going to call you next week and see how you like it, right? Well, when you call them next week, Hey, how's it going? How do you like the book? Oh, well, I haven't got around to reading it. I've been really busy, la, 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 la. Okay, you kind of get to gauge their temperature on hunger. Doesn't mean you give up on them, but you just think, okay, here's what I'm dealing with. Or you call the person next week, how's the book? Oh my God, it's great. I love it. I learned this. Now, the real person you want is the person that calls you 2 days later and says, I finished the book. You're like, let's go, right? Because they're hungry. So everything in this business, it is hunger. It's hunger and having that positive attitude. So you just have to be real intentional about like seeing the, like in our business, when we're recruiting, we have red apples, green apples, and brown apples, right? A red apple is someone like, let's go. I'm ready. I want to get started. A green apple, they're very, most people are green. Analytical, I've got lots of questions. And then a brown apple just says all sorts of BS. Is this a scam? Blah, blah, all this dumb stuff. So you just got to really think, as someone speaking to you, you've got to be that intentional about what they're saying, how they're saying it, all that stuff. And it's an art. I think it's an art. And I think the more you work on growing your leadership, first of all, you'll start attracting more people, right? If you're a 5, you're going to attract 5s. When you get it to an 8, you're going to attract 8s. So keep working on yourself. Personal development is really about self-awareness. And a lot of people read a lot of books, but they don't really apply it to themselves and grow and change. Right? They say knowledge is power. And I'm like, well, if that were the case, every professor and librarian would be multimillionaires. That is not true. Knowledge is potential power. And the reason knowledge is power is when you apply it to yourself and you grow. Your speaking changes, your demeanor, your posture, all that changes. So keep working on yourself like crazy. And then looking at, am I growing? Am I changing? Because the more you change, the less you'll have some of those issues in your team, because you won't even attract those people anymore.
Yeah, that's fire. Drop a flame in the chats if that's fire. That is really good, because I feel like that's something that I personally need to work on. I'm sure a lot of other people too, is like, I am that person at times. I read a book, I'm like, wow, that was great. And then I don't even apply it. And it's like, okay, that's not going to do anything if you're not actually applying what you're reading. So that's a really good point to bring up, that self-awareness, and then you're going to attract, who you're becoming. Well, I know we've taken up about 40 minutes, so I'm going to ask just a couple more questions of you, and I really, really appreciate your time. It's been amazing seeing your face. I know it's been a while.
I know, it's been so long.
But the last thing I saw on your success tips was this add until now. I think that's really huge. So it says, I haven't been able to X until now. I'm afraid of X until now. So where did you get that concept, and like, how are you applying that to your business?
Oh my gosh. So I've taken a lot of incredible courses that just, that have just rocked my world. And one thing that I learned is your words matter. Right? If you're spiritual at all and you read the Bible, right? Jesus would walk around and speak things into existence. Well, that's actually a thing. Like, we can do that. We can speak things into existence. And my husband likes to say, the words that come out of your mouth either lock or unlock your future. Right? The words that come out of your mouth are either locking or unlocking your future. So you have to be hyper aware of what you're saying, because we are guided by our subconscious. It's going to get a little woo-woo for a second. It's really important. And your subconscious, like if I did a meditation with you guys right now and told you, close your eyes, we're standing on top of a building, you could feel the wind in your hair, you could hear the cars below, step to the edge, oh, there's no railing. I did this once, right? You'd be sweating sitting at your desk. I'm sitting at my desk. Why am I emotionally involved in this right now? That's your subconscious. Your subconscious is really dumb, to be honest. They don't know. It doesn't know. It's just doing whatever you're telling it to do. Right. So when you're saying things like, I can't, I never have, all of that, your subconscious is going to find reasons why that is true. But when you say things like, I can, I am, I will, right? I get to versus I have to. then your subconscious will find reasons why that works. And so the until now opens up possibility, because the words that we say can cut off possibility. And our future, right? Your future is based in possibility, because we don't know, right? It's not actually here, but it's based on what's possible. And so if you say, I can never get a sale when I'm doing my calls, right? I'm gonna use an example maybe that would be for you guys, right? When I'm doing my call time, I can never get more than 4 appointments. Well, when you say that, you're never going to get more than 4 appointments. You're going to struggle. But if you say, I've never been able to get more than 4 appointments during call time until now, it just opens up what's possible, right? I can't catch a break until now. I've never been able to catch a break until now. So something that my husband has a lot of our leaders do, and not a lot of people do this because they're afraid. So I'm going to give you a challenge. And if you do this and you do it on a regular basis, you will take the lid off of where you are right now. Record yourself for 48 hours. Just every time you're speaking, record yourself. During the day, record your thoughts. Just write down your thoughts. Just write them down. What you say and what you think will be exactly what's happening in your life. Exactly. And it will freak you out, and you will be so conscious of the words that are coming out of your mouth. I promise you record yourself 48 hours, you'll be like, well, that's why I have this, that, and the other, because I'm just speaking it into the world. I'm thinking it right there. I'm in charge. Very, very powerful. So the words, imagine that the words that come out of your mouth are creating a beautiful tapestry called your life.
I love it. Right?
And so that's so huge. If you've ever studied any Bob Proctor, anything like that, if you really understand the Bible from a place of not based on a certain religion, but just based on how he was.
Awesome. Yeah.
He spoke the I am, right? I can, I have. Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up, Mikala, because that's so key. And that's just, and a lot of it's habit, right? It's habit. If you find yourself saying a lot, I'm frustrated, right? You'll hear it now in yourself. People have their little thing that they say, I'm frustrated, I'm confused, I'm an idiot, I'm stupid, I'm busy, right? I'm busy, I'm tired. You'll hear yourself now and you'll be like, oh my God, right? Now, maybe you are tired, but like until I'm tired. It's all, yeah, until now, right? Until now, it's an excuse. It's an excuse, but it's not. It's an unconscious thing,
right?
Right. And remember, your internal ego wants to keep you small. And the more self-aware you are, the more you realize. Like it used to take me weeks to figure out, right? Because it's all self-sabotage. But now it takes me seconds. I can have something happen, have a thought, and then 3 seconds later go, nope, I'm on to you, right? So that's all. That's what self-awareness is. That's
huge. Self-awareness, yeah. Because I did it this morning. Gage and I've been getting up and going to the gym in the morning, and the alarm went off, and I immediately was like, gosh, I'm so tired. I'm just gonna snooze it. And then like Gage got up, and I saw him get up, and I'm like, no, I'm not tired. I'm going to the gym. We're making this happen because that's going to help me throughout the whole day, have more energy instead of waking up and snoozing and then feeling down on myself and, oh, I failed. It's like, no, it's like just getting over
I'm tired,
that.
But I'm going to do it anyway.
Exactly. Yeah.
Feel the fear and do it anyway. Feel the tired and do it anyway. Yeah. Exactly. And the other thing I would say, speaking of being tired, because you do want to be realistic, right? It's another great tip that I got is, when you're building a business like this, it's built on momentum. And it's not just momentum of team and customers, but it's also your own momentum, right? Your own hustle, but right. Cause you're up here and then like, you want to keep it high. So one thing that a tip that we've always given and that we got in the early days is, work your face off for like 3 weeks. I mean, like insanity, but then schedule 2, 3, 4 days off, right? You know that you have that time off with your family or whatever it is, you know, with your boyfriend, with your girlfriend, they know what's coming so they can relax a little bit. But you get an opportunity to, during that 3-week period, really create some momentum and fire, and then take a break, recharge, regroup, spend time with those people that are missing you, you know, whatever, and then do that again. So have little 3-week seasons, like 3 weeks, balls to the wall. Pardon me. That's no better way to say it.
I love that.
You know, and then take that 2 days off or 3 days, whatever it is, you know, take a break. Even sometimes it's just one day, right? Sometimes it's one day of putting your phone down recharges you to no end. But you have to have spurts, right? You have to have those spurts.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because our business is our phones, and like we, you know, share the opportunity with our phones on social media and things, and it can definitely, like, you know, the overstimulation of your phone nonstop. Like you have to have like a day of just like leave my phone in the room.
Yeah.
Only have my own thoughts instead of external thoughts from whatever I'm thinking of comparison on your phone. It's like, just give that time to yourself, because that's how you're going to recharge for that following next week and ride that momentum. So thank you so much.
Yeah, because it's no joke, right? I'm inspired by each and every one of you that you're on this call today, because it's no joke building your own thing. However, it's worth it. I mean, I'll tell you guys, my life today. So I was a realtor. I worked 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. My girlfriend used to like to say, God, Wendee works 8 days a week. I'm like, what? Wait, what? And I just worked all the time, you know, and I made a lot of money. So it's a trap. I'm making big bucks. I want to keep making the big bucks, and you just get consumed by it all. And then I see this business and realize all I heard was freedom when I went to my first presentation. And I was kind of pissed. I'm like, Jesus, I've been doing real estate for 15 years. I have no residual income. What's the deal with that? Like, why didn't they teach me this in school? Like, I'm so irritated right now. You know, like, what is this word residual? Like, why is this just showing up in my life? So I start building this business, you know, and all this stuff, and was able to leave my real estate business, which was not a sad day. It was a happy day, because it was hard. You know, it was a lot to maintain that. Right. And don't let realtors lie to you that, oh, it's so easy. It's like, well, it's easy because you're making 40 grand a year. If you're making, you know, 100, 150, 250, you're not easy. So that was my life. Now my life is, I do what I want, where I want, when I want, with whoever I want. You know, in 2020, crazy time. In 2019, my mom got sick. Well, first of all, I was able to move her into my house because financially she needed help, and I was the one person in the family that could afford to do that. Then she got sick, and I was the one person in the family that had the time and the resources to book a one-way ticket and do what needed to be done. You know, at our Thanksgiving dinner, we go around, what are you guys grateful for? And my son that year at Thanksgiving said, Mom, I'm grateful for ACN. If it wasn't for you having that, Grandma wouldn't have had what she needed, because none of us had the wherewithal to do it. Right. And I was like, wow, I didn't write that in my impact statement, but holy crap. Right. No, so I had all this time with my mom and time to take care of her. Then in 2020, I had open heart surgery. I don't even know if you know that, Mikala.
No, I didn't.
I had, you can see my little, barely see it, but it's there. I had open heart surgery, and it was crazy, you guys. I didn't drive a car for 9 weeks. I mean, I was fairly strong going into it, but it knocked me on my ass. But guess what? I could recover. I didn't have to go anywhere. I didn't have to go make money. I didn't have to think about anything but recovery. And because my husband's in the same business, guess what? He was home 24/7. We had all the money in the world, all the time in the world for me to recover. Wow. In my past life, I would have not have been able to take care of my mother the way I did. She probably wouldn't have made it as long as she did. I definitely couldn't have gone through heart surgery and be out of work it took me a year to recover from that. A full year, like, you know, different milestones. I couldn't have run around freaking shown houses or gone to an office. So this is worth it. You know, it's worth it. And those are the things that matter. Listen, we have the cars and the house and the and all that's great. And I love it. I love all my stuff. But it's those things that are truly priceless that make this worth it.
Yeah.
You know, that really, and you can't get that outside of this. So it's like, if not this, then what? Right? Like, if I'm not going to do something to build residual income, then what will I be doing?
Yeah.
So why not figure it out? Why not win?
Thank you so much for bringing that up, because we have residual income that we came from another company where it was kind of like a hamster wheel, like you were saying, the real estate. Like when you're just selling life insurance, there's not real true residual income. So we've added like our health license to create that renewal. And then it's like, we see the light at the end of the tunnel now, because it's like, okay, all our hard work will compound that residual income to the point where we can have that freedom and time to do the things that when life happens, that you can truly get through it. That's huge.
Yeah.
Well,
having time is just, it's the best. It's the best.
It is.
Time and money together, right? Most people have one or the other, and I've always had one or the other, but now I have both, and oh my God. Yeah. Well, and now, there's the saying of, once you experience residual income, you'll run through a brick wall to get it. I remember when I got my first check, it was really small. I mean, it was nothing, like, $15 or something ridiculous. But it came again the next month, and it got a little bigger, and it got a little bigger. And I just remember going, oh, wow, this is cool. Like, oh, interesting. It's coming again, and it's coming again. Then you get kind of addicted to building that because it's so cool.
We're super excited. Our first residual kind of will be 2024 January. So we're building it now to get to that point.
Yeah.
So I can't wait for that feeling.
Build it big, girlfriend. Build it big, you guys. Oh my God. Yeah. To hold nothing back. And hey, we're going, our economy, I think winter's coming, right? So, you'll be sitting pretty and stack cash, because that's when people get when we have a recession or a depression, people get stupid wealthy if they're prepared.
Exactly. Well, Wendee, thank you so much. You brought so much value and different perspective that I think all of us needed. So I really appreciate everything that you said. Is there any last departing words you want to give to the team, or any last tips?
Well, I see all of you guys on here, and you all strike me as being really young. I didn't start my age myself now. I didn't start my residual income business until I was 40. And knowing what I know today, if I would have known about this and truly understood it, two things in my 20s, if I would have understood that something like this was possible, and if I would have understood that personal development, like what personal development really was, oh my God, oh my God. So the fact that you guys are all, I'm guessing, in your 20s and in your 30s, go for it and work on yourself, tune everything out, create a structure for yourself to win, and just hit it hard, because, oh my God, you just have gold in front of you. You really do.
Thank you. Well,
don't waste time.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you. If you guys want to follow Wendee on Instagram, she's always posting really inspirational content. I'll share it in our group chat, but I really think it should be worthwhile to follow her and kind of watch her journey, because she's always inspired me. And even though we haven't talked in forever, I'm always watching and inspired. So thank you, Wendee.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mikala, and have a great weekend, everybody.